Good morning, viewers. It's the last day of my Californian adventure and I have no dreary corporate duties to perform for my gin brand. So I've decided to go for a drive. Now over here there's an organization called Turo, which is a sort of Airbnb for cars. Dealers and private individuals put their cars in the system and you can rent them out. You can have all sorts of stuff. You can have Porsche 911s, you can have a Mustang, you can even have a Tesla Cybertruck if you fancy being pursued by a torch-wielding mob. I've decided to go for this, a 1969 Ford Torino Convertible. A couple of interesting things happened while we were setting up that initial shot. One was that the LA Department of Beach Car Parks went past in their truck and a guy leaned out of the window and he said, "Sweet ride, bro." And I've been waiting all my life for that moment. The other is that an old boy turned up on a bicycle and started looking at it because he'd had one back in the day. And I started talking to him about how huge it was, and he reminded me that in 1969 this was a mid-size car in America, mid-size. So back in Britain, you might have had, well, the Ford Capri was launched that year, or you might have had the very new and stylish Mark I Ford Escort, which was also a mid-size car. The reason I wanted to drive this car and not something a bit more flashy is that it was launched originally in 1968. And that was the year that Apollo 8 went around the moon and took that famous picture of the whole Earth, the so-called blue marble. And a year later, the year that this car was built, Apollo 11 landed on the moon.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The reason I bring this up is to remind you that this was the state of manufacturing art when the Apollo spacecraft and the Saturn V rocket were built. It's not very modern. Virtually no electronic stuff on. In fact, nothing electronic. It's electrical. There's a bit of ignition and so on and some lights. That's it. Now that's slightly unfair because aerospace is always in advance of automotive technology. Aerospace is useful in war. That makes it progress faster. The car always develops at a rather leisurely pace. But even so, look at this. This is the 1969 Ford Torino Convertible, brought to you by the people that put us on the moon. In the same year. To drive the 1969 Ford Torino Convertible is a little bit like a Lotus Elise. Very taut, no, that's rubbish. It's not like that at all. It's like a piece of very old furniture. It's quite wobbly. It's very baggy. It has a live rear axle, but a very soft front suspension. The steering is, like in a film, you can do that and nothing really happens. It's pleasant though. It's got a huge hood. It's not a car for pressing on, it's a car for sitting back and enjoying. And there, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you not familiar with it, is, under load, the classic American V8 rumble. It's one of the sounds that made America. Something that always amazes me about cars of this era is that they did eventually work out that the mirrors should go on the door, not half a mile away down on the end of the wing fender. But they still only put it on the driver's side. There isn't one on that side. I like to look at that side mirror to judge, where the curb is, how wide my new car is, but I can't do it. Why would you only put one mirror on? And that went on for years. Rolls-Royces only had one mirror. The original Ferrari Testarossa, that only had one mirror. It was known as the one mirror in Italian. Monospecchio. I suppose by the time this car was built, the the rot of the US automotive industry was, well, it was probably there, but nobody could see it yet. By the 70s, there was a fuel crisis. By the 80s, Honda had built its first factory in the United States, and then this sort of thing was over. And they're virtually all gone. American TV shows of my childhood, you know, Starsky and Hutch, those films were full of cars like this, all massive, all extravagant, all with V8 motors. And now they're curiosities. What I decided we would do for this drive is go for... Hey viewers, I just wanted to take a couple of moments out of this video to tell you a little bit about my sponsor, which is James Gin. I love James Gin. It's really delicious and drinkable with some tonic water and maybe a slice of lemon and some ice. It's engineered in Wiltshire using a range of exotic botanicals. Why not click the description in the link or click on this barcode to see how you can buy some and enjoy it just as much as I do. Now, back to the video. A burger. More specifically, we're going to go for a McDonald's burger at America's oldest surviving McDonald's. It's from 1953 and it also incorporates a museum. Of what? I don't know. Hopefully not a load of stale old burgers. You can probably see on the camera as I sit here at this red light that the car shakes. That's as a result of the V8 in its firing order and its exhaust system and so on and so on. But it's actually quite pleasant. It's alive. It's eager to go. And as you pull away, it will all smooth out. Look. There you are. You know, on some sat-navs you get a little icon of a car, and when you're stationary it sort of wobbles as if eager to be going. I think they got that idea from American cars with V8s. This car, the 1969 Ford Torino, is fitted with a 351 cubic inch V8 motor. That's about, in our money, 5.8 litres. 5.8 litres. Our cars of the same time would have had 1100 engines. I think my dad's Ford Cortina was a 1.2. But this wasn't a muscle car engine or anything like that. This was a bread and butter American car engine, 5.8 litres. And it probably developed something like, I don't know, 120, 130 horsepower. And Europeans will go, oh, that's pathetic. How can you have such a big engine producing so little power? It's because it's for a different purpose. It's low revving, it's relaxed, it's unstressed. It's not for driving from my house in London to my pub, which is 96 miles. It's for driving from Chicago to LA, more than 3,000 miles all the way. It winds from Chicago to LA, more than 3,000 miles all the way. Get your kicks on Route 66. I've broken a golden rule of car television here, and I've opened the hood so that we can look at the 351 cubic inch V8 motor. It actually fits very easily in this massive space, therefore allowing me to say, oh, there's plenty of room to work on it. Not that you'd really need to, because these things last forever. I thought you'd just like to see what, for many decades, was the bread and butter American engine, the V8. We had the inline 4, the occasional flat 4. They had, on the whole, the V8. Still do, to a large extent. It's interesting, isn't it? Should we look at a shot of the sea and a squadron of pelicans instead? Something else I don't understand about the olden days, even though I was in them, is that people must have been a very different shape. When you get into this car, you have to squeeze your legs under the steering wheel. That gap is so small, and I'm not particularly fat. I mean, you could understand in Europe that we were a bit stunted because we were undernourished, but America, the land of plenty, why did they, I mean, what shape were people that was the correct relationship of seat and steering wheel? What if you were Shaq and you bought this car? How would you get your legs under there? This car is dogs slow. And I don't even know why we have that expression, because dogs are pretty quick. McDonald's reckon they sell almost 6.5 million burgers a day. A day. Now, I'm not a massive eater of burgers at home. I tend to think of them as crisis food, a bit like sandwiches and pizza. You have them on road trips or when you're stuck late at the office, that sort of thing. But when I'm in America, I feel it's right and proper to have a burger. And I suppose it's right and proper to have a McDonald's, because they sort of kicked off the whole franchise fast food chain burger thing.
When I die and the limits are rest, gonna go to the place that's the best. When I lay me down to die, going up to the spirit in the sky. Going up to the spirit in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and the limits are rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the best.
This is the oldest McDonald's in the world, opened in 1953. It actually predates the Golden Arches and Ronald McDonald, which is why it still has Speedy the Chef up on the sign. And I'm going to order the nearest thing to the hamburger that Ray Kroc bought, which so impressed him that he went on to found the whole McDonald's Corporation. I think the nearest equivalent today is the very basic hamburger. It used to cost 15 cents in 1953. Bag of fries was 12 cents. I think it's a bit more now. Hello, could I just have the small cheeseburger, please, in the eats? Just that, thank you.
362. Cheeseburger,
Yes, please.
89.
Yes,
There you go, sir.
thank you very much.
Enjoy. 388.
That's it. But this is historic. This is the flavour that caused one man to completely change his life and completely change the world. Remember, there's billions. They've lost count of how many McDonald's burgers have been sold. It's a bit flat, isn't it? It's actually pretty tasty in a slightly industrial sort of way. It tastes like a McDonald's hamburger, which tastes like nothing else in the world. Still, it is a mighty tasty burger. I remember having a conversation some years ago with my best Californian mate, Jay Leno, and we were talking about the way diets and cars had progressed during our lifetimes. And he said to me, I thought this was quite profound, he said, no matter what else you eat, there will always be the burger, and there will always be a V8 somewhere. Good. They're delicious.